Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So today I want to talk about adding a new faction to Warhammer 40,000 tabletop. Now the last faction we had was the Tau Empire, and if I'm correct, I think it was added around 12 to 15 years ago. Please help me out in the comment section, which is kind of a long time, right? I would have thought we would have had like 2 or 3 races added since then, but alas, we've absolutely had nothing. Yes, there's been a few minor races mentioned here and there, which I'll go over in the video, but nothing really to note to add to the actual tabletop and, you know, bring out a brand new force for us to play against or play with. So let's jump in and let's get talking. Now, of course, we all love getting new stuff for our factions and stuff. I know my factions probably receive more than most of your factions combined. I do feel the sorrow for some of the Xenos players around. The Psychic Awakening has brought us rules, maybe, hopefully, next year or at the end of this year, more Xenos races will get more love, big characters will return, all that kind of awesome stuff that we expect. Now, my main reason of like doing this video and talking about it is because I see AOS, and of course AOS is kind of a brand, well, it is a brand new game, let's say, that is fact, and they're getting all these new factions, and like their so-called new High Elf force, I'm just going to call them High Elves because that's what they look like. They look incredible. I love them. I really, really do. I think they're an incredible race, and I just think that me as a 40k player looking at that game, thinking to myself, man, these guys are getting so many new cool armors and stuff, so many new cool looks and all that kind of stuff. I really wish that 40k received that kind of treatment and maybe just got like maybe 1 or 2 new factions to add to the pile of factions that we have already to really spice things up. And I understand for people are going to say, but Valrak, I love my faction and it hasn't received an update in so long. I think GW should focus on updating my race before they add a new race. I completely agree. Everyone should get updated stuff before they add a new race in. But I would just like the thought of a new player entering the game to mix things up with the story, political-wise, narrative events, everything that's attached to a new race being added really shakes it up. Like, look at the Tau, look at the kind of impact that they've had and like on the eastern fringes and their politics and their lore and their technology. It really has spiced up the story of Warhammer 40,000. Yes, you may disagree that the Tau are horrible and you hate them, and you know their way of warfare and like how they convert people, the greater good. Yes, people are against it. I'm against it. Purge the Xenos, of course. I'm down for the Imperium, but it really does add to the mixing pot of the 40k story and makes it that much more exciting. Now, I'm going to be absolutely brutally honest. Me as an Imperial player, me as an Imperial fanboy, me as a Primaris / Space Marine fanboy, I do not want another faction which is Imperium based. I actually want something that is either non-Imperium, that hates the Imperium, or a Xenos race to be added to the game, much like we had with the Tau. Now, there hasn't really been that many races to note in the lore which have really caused that much of a commotion. Then again, GW can do their little magic thing and sprinkle some dust and have a race just pop out of nowhere. That's what happened with the Tyranids. You know, they came to the galaxy, nom nom nom. Happened with the Tau Empire. You know, they appeared somewhere. It can happen again. Definitely can happen again. But we do have some lore stating that there's a race already around, which I think has the potential of being quite devastating, and that is the Harud. Now, the Harud were first encountered by the Imperium during the Great Crusade, if I'm not mistaken. Perturable's Primarch novel, I haven't read it because it's Perturable. Why? I just want to read about person crying all the time. Just kidding. Please don't start crying, Iron Warriors. They went against a Harud, and I think they won in the end. And the Harud are basically like this, well, I always call them like a mix between Ents and Swamp Monsters, because the way they look is just completely bizarre. I'm not too sure like if they have vehicles or, you know, anything massive like that. I know they migrate and stuff because it's mentioned that the Star Phantom's homeworld was migrated to by the Harud. And the Star, I think the Star Phantom's world was actually destroyed, but the Star Phantoms survived. Yeah, but their world was destroyed. So they can get around the galaxy. They can move around. Again, I have absolutely no idea how they do that. Maybe GW can like fluff this out and stuff. Maybe there's actually some information out there stating it. I'm just talking off the top of my head at the moment. But for the Xenos race that's already established in the lore, that is possibly something that we can do. You know, we can have something which has gone against the Imperium before that we know now. And I know that the Eldar know about them as well. Probably the Necrons know about them. I'm not too sure. Like maybe the Orcs will probably know about them. Let's say, but the wider stuff, like maybe like the Tau or the Tyranids, have probably never encountered them before, or something like that. But it's there. They are already set up in the lore to really start doing things, and I think that could be a pretty cool race to actually introduce. And like I mentioned, that is just one way to go about all this. Have a race that's established. I'm sure people will start mentioning more races in the comment section down below. Again, I'd like to hear what you chaps think about this or your thoughts and like certain different races and stuff. But GW can create like a brand new race if they wanted to. And again, when it comes to that kind of thing, I'm thinking really, what kind of race could they absolutely introduce? We've already got like orcs with their wild. We've already got Tyranids as like, just like the Zerg race. Yes, StarCraft 2 reference. Just eating, nomming everything. You've got the Eldar with like their heads up their own butts, think they know it all. You've got the Tau with their technology. They think they know it all. The greater good and stuff like that. You've got the Imperium who basically shoot each other in the face because they think everyone's bad. We're really there, probably the baddest. So yeah, it's kind of a thinking pot of really what new faction can pop up and what kind of ideology and what kind of thought process they can have from a Xenos standpoint. I actually think, and one of my biggest things I would like to actually see in a new race is actually not make them Xenos, make them a human-based faction. And what I mean by that is that have them as humans, but have their technology able to rival the Imperiums, and they hate the ideology, they hate the thought of the Imperium, they have their own way, their own creed, maybe they have their own religion, maybe they're not religious at all, maybe they're untainted by the warp because they have certain technologies, much like, the Tau can travel via, their technology, and they don't have to use warp technology and stuff like that. Maybe like this faction itself could be like one of the first factions from like the Dark Age of technology, which secluded itself away in a dark bit of the galaxy, and they have that technology. And when the Imperium comes to interact with them, of course the Imperium with its for the Emperor, the God Emperor, all that kind of stuff, that sea of madness that follows the Imperium everywhere, they're like, no, we've been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and everything you're talking about is utter rubbish. And of course the Imperium or whatever race encounters them, it's like, right, we're gonna do you in then. And they're like, well, come on, bring it then. And that's their introduction to the actual game. But of course, because they have like maybe like this advanced technology, they can go toe to toe with the Imperium or any other race. It'd be really, really cool, just off the top of my head, like if they were from like the Dark Age of technology or something cool like that they actually have these weapons which are absolutely brutal. Because there's one thing about the Dark Age of technology, is that the technology back then absolutely surpasses everything that we have like at the moment, like Mechanicus wise. I'd probably say like Eldar and Necronish, like back then was like the peak of human marvel, and it was just like an amazing time. So they'll probably have some massive Daka, mental weapons that could like tear starships apart, or something really, really awesome like that. And also you can do them like untouched by the warp, because that is one of the humanity's biggest downfall, and that's Chaos' advantage, is that they can corrupt. Corruption is one of their main influences to get what they want. Maybe this race, because they're from the Dark Age of technology, maybe they have technology that dampens warp activity. Maybe they're so advanced in like gene splicing and stuff, instead of having super soldiers, they gene spliced to have their people non-psychers and stuff, and they just relied on their technology and their advancements to combat that threat, thousands and thousands of years ago, and they've lived that way ever since. And then that really could turn it around and be a threat to chaos itself. These people who are humans, which we thought could be corrupted, which we feast on, cannot be corrupted, and that scares the living bejesus out of chaos. I think it'd be so cool just to have another human faction enter the game and like, yo Imperium, you guys have messed up so bad. Look at us. Look what we've achieved without all this weirdo stuff that you chaps got involved with. We have all this awesome technology. It sucks to be you. Will it happen? Probably not. Do I want it to happen? Definitely 100% 100% million, yes, I want it to happen. As I stated, you know, adding a new faction brings a lot of new things into it with the politics and the narrative and everything like that. And me being such a massive narrative player, it really adds to the story. So I definitely want something like that. It's just hard settling on a faction that everyone would, you know, take to and what everyone would like. Of course, people are going to dislike it and people are going to like it. That's just the way life is at the end of the day. And one thing I know about GW is that I think with the Tau and even the Necrons and stuff, I'm sure it was like an interview somewhere where like that was in the work for like, you know, I think it was like 5 to 10 years or something before like those chaps came out. So this is the kind of timetable these guys work on. Actually, if I remember correctly, they did like a big board in the office where everyone came in with like all ideas for a new faction, and they just like put all their ideas together. Like they took like the best of people's ideas and like they, you know, sprinkled all that together, and that is like how some of the new factions arose, which I think is pretty cool because that way you work together and you get everyone's awesome ideas and you make an awesome faction out of it. Okay, Chaperunio, so that is me done for another video. Thank you for coming, thank you for watching. As always, please, I want to know what faction would you introduce into Warhammer 40,000? Either an established faction, which has been mentioned before in the lore, a brand new faction, Xenos, Human, Chaos, Aligned, you know, just go mad, and let's just post it all down below and we can have a nice little fun time just brainstorming, and maybe, hopefully, GW read the comments and one day your army could be entering the fray. I doubt that, I really doubt that, but hey, you can dream, right? Right, see you in a bit, thank you for coming, thank you for watching as always, enjoy yourself, and bye-bye!